If Muskrat Love was on your top 10 hit list as a kid, then you were the perfect target for the Captain and Tennille action figures. Or fashion dolls. Action dolls? Fashion figures. Whatever. I'm Victor, and straight out of the Gen Experience when Tiger Beat magazine just didn't cut it, the brightest stars and biggest names could be at your fingertips with a variety of amazing celebrity fashion and action dolls. A trend that would hit a high point from the mid-70s through the mid-90s. You know, that perfect period of youth for us in the Gen Experience. If you like this kind of entertainment, consider subscribing and feel free to share the video with friends. No TV or movie characters, only celebrity dolls, and some with questionable likeness. Let's begin where most good stories start, the 1970s. Perhaps they hoped the rooted pageboy haircut of Tennille's or the sailing hat of the Captain would entice a purchase of these 1977 Mego dolls. Maybe it was the cutouts of the singing duo's beloved pets included in the box. Maybe if Mom was collecting dolls in the era, the Love Will Keep Us Together singers might have made more sense. But there they were, nevertheless. Their head sculpts surprisingly recognizable, with Captain looking more than a generic G.I. Joe naval officer and Tennille's toothy grin. Hoping to catch on, they stood in the Sears catalog right next to the likes of Wonder Woman and Diana Ross. As a megastar, perhaps Ross's music was more mainstream than the Captain's. Today, a Diana Ross doll would be seen as a collector's holy grail, but offered with other Barbie exclusives, not on the general toy shelf, and certainly not to play with. But in 1977, this other Mego creation hoped little girls would want to emulate the diva and pick up this doll to live out their pop star dreams as much as the fashion possibilities. Mego didn't start there with superstar singers, but in 1975 they began their celebrity doll lineup with a 1,000 invited guest dinner in New York City to debut the Sonny and Cher dolls. Based on the success of a TV comedy duo, these dolls were in direct competition with Barbie. Cher would have 3 different distinct versions of her doll through 1978. One was Growing Hair Cher. It came with a key to unlock locks of hair, growing locks of hair from the doll's head. Speaking of that head, it seemed like they worked on the old adage, try, and try again, until they got a face molded into the dynamite diva we all know Cher is. Sonny's doll, which prototypes depicted more serious, would only run in 1976, but with a smile, and included a 12-piece wardrobe. Cher, with complete rooted eyelashes, had 32 outfits, and yes, designed by the fabulous fashion guru Bob Mackie, some being exclusive to Montgomery Ward. Once discontinued, the clothes were rebranded Jordache Collection. Speaking of Jordache, get a load of this guy. I just couldn't resist. As for Sonny and Cher, their playsets and cars deserve a whole other show. Sonny and Cher might have had a musical career, but they are better known as comedic personalities and musical hosts for their own brand of variety show, just like Donny and Marie. I know it's a sacrilege to disparage the singing Morbin siblings. I, for one, loved their variety show growing up and even wanted purple socks. Like Sonny and Cher, they both had musical careers, but were better known as musical hosts and personalities of their own popular variety show. Performing from the Osmond compound, which isn't ominous sounding at all, their family of mostly brothers and a gaggle of children would entertain the masses throughout the year. This in itself allowed Mattel to snatch up their licenses and get out 2 very popular dolls in 1977. Their face molds are definitely more successful than others. An oddity to note, apparently due to his overwhelming success as the annoying kid brother, a year later Jimmy Osmond was awarded his own action doll to expand the brand. Hold on, did he play Chunk in the Goonies? I think Donny and Marie did have a place in our house. I have many older siblings, and the cheesy duo were a mainstay on TV with their own brand of rock and roll and country. Not that they were particularly good at either of those. Now here's someone undeniably country and certainly a showstopper. Dolly Parton deserved her place in fashion doll history. Goldberg was the company to do it, and no, I had never heard of them either. But they did grace the world with 4 distinct separate Dolly dolls. Having a less flashy and more down-home packaging, along with a number of separate fashion ensembles, Dolly may very well have been a doll children begged their parents for. Maybe. It is 1978 and Dolly is on TV, but it would still be a couple of years before 9 to 5. With her popularity growing beyond both her country western audience and the ends of her iconic bosom that would put Barbie to shame, Dolly was interesting to both sisters and brothers. Let's talk about angels and how 3 different companies made 4 different angels in 2 different ways. Lost yet? You won't be, as this show isn't about characters celebrities portrayed. Hasbro's 1976 Charlie's Angels toy line with fashions, accessories, and that mid-century treehouse playset is off the table. Another company would pick up the actual actress's likeness when it came to celebrity dolls. Strangely, not just one, but two companies. Mego, who had their celebrity doll line, were able to snag two angels, Jacqueline Smith and the one and only Farrah Fawcett in 1977. Well, I think it's Farrah. Meanwhile, Mattel jumped on the bandwagon the next year with both a Kate Jackson doll and... who is this? Did Cheryl Ladd even have a beauty mark? Luckily, the PIs of Townsend Detective Agency all had more detailed face molds for their actress doppelgangers than the TV show toy line. Sometimes live-action accuracy comes with a caricature result. Take Farrah here. No, take her, please. There's a lot to be said for doll face molds of the era, but that feathered hair is on point. Kate and Cheryl were two of only three celebrity dolls from Mattel. The TV Woman toy line rounded out the three with Kitty O'Neil. Sure, I had to look her up too, but she was an incredible stunt woman and race car driver who must have appeared on TV like the female version of Evel Knievel, ultimately scoring 22 sea and land speed records. A great choice to be sure, but you have to wonder, no matter the positive role model for little girls, how many units were picked up by the kid audience and how many by collectors. No, that's not Farrah Fawcett, it's Andy Gibb, the teen heartthrob of the Gibb dynasty. And let's be honest, no, this doll does not do him justice. Since we're here, let's talk about boys. While Donny, Captain, and Sonny all accompanied their corresponding female partner, Andy Gibb stood on his own. Jumping from the pages of Teen Beat, Andy was perfect to take Barbie on a magical dream date. She could even wear his clothes. And here's the inspiration. I don't know about you, but I think the manufacturers forgot something big. Who could miss it? In the 1960s, Mattel used their 12-inch G.I. Joe to coin the now ever-present description for boys' toys, action figures. Although it might be a stretch to put Andy in that category, I can see him getting into some action along with your large-sized Luke and Han Solo from Kenner. This was not Ideal's first foray into celebrities. In 1976, Dorothy Hamill took to the ice with this Olympic skating doll and that ever-so-popular haircut that everyone copied long before the Rachel. Okay, this one's unique and I'm calling it out. Seemingly a celebrity doll, Mego was not above marketing her as the character too. In regard to packaging, they had done something similar with their Linda Carter as Wonder Woman doll, as if to convince us the doll was Carter. Seemingly a loud and proud Suzanne Summers herself doll, they still chose to include her character and show's title in smaller font above her name. Maybe they're concerned without it would diminish the sales on this treasure from 1978. Or they knew it looked nothing like her and needed to remind the buyer, as evident that her package did not include a window box, so you couldn't even see the doll for yourself. And did they just slap on the OG Cher doll's dress? It might say Chrissy, but it seems to be capitalizing on Summers' own rising stardom as much as the blonde Bubblehead's character from the outlandish sitcom that we all loved. What do you think? Mattel tried to get in front of this next up-and-comer solely based on her hit song, You Light Up My Life. Of course, they thought Debbie Boone would light up the toy shelves, little girls' eyes, and their bottom line with this 1978 fashion doll. Coming from musical royalty as the daughter of Pat Boone, after her Best New Artist Grammy, she went country, and then Christian Contemporary, which was successful for her, but not so much for sales on the Debbie Boone doll, who looks nothing more than a generic girl doll with no particular panache. Debbie could simply be lost in a pile of Barbie's best friend dolls with nothing spectacular to set her apart. With that said, you guys gotta tell us in the comments if you had one. Chemtoy stepped into the ring with not Vinnie Barbarino, but John Travolta. Sorry Suzanne, but the box doesn't even leverage his show character as cross-sell on the box, allowing Travolta's fame to lead this plastic effigy from 1977. From a company that sounds like they sold Mad Scientist or chemistry sets, perhaps their John Travolta was an experiment. Travolta was a rising star, and while there were welcome back Cotter dolls from Mattel in 1976, this was all about John's celebrity status on fire with Saturday Night Fever. Having this doll icon may have been a little girl's dream, or boy's. America's newest star and everyone's favorite teenager, so touted the box for another Mego creation, Christy McNichol in 1978. Oddly only 9 inches when the norm was 12, this Christy doll should not be confused with her doll of the Buddy character from her TV show Family. That was made by Mattel the same year and is supposed to represent the same person. Hey, I think we got a ringer, or at least pretty close. For such a cutie as Christy, I can't tell which is better, or at least more closely resembles her. How about you? Here's both, you decide and let me know. What about the 60s? Oh, there was nothing like the dolls we've just seen. There was a small collection of TV and movie-inspired character doll likenesses, and when I say likeness, I'm being generous. Like the fave boys toy of the decade, there just weren't any dolls made of celebrities themselves quite yet. And as the numbers might dwindle in the 80s and 90s, they weren't slowing down.
Shields, she's a beautiful doll.
It's the Brooke Shields doll with long, beautiful hair you can style in so many ways.
It's the 1980s, and Brooke Shields is a beautiful doll and a little Lolita underage sex kitten in modeling ads and movies. Brooke was and is undeniably gorgeous, and it shouldn't be surprising that her fame from a variety of film roles and advertising would land her a doll plaything in 1982. There were 3 versions, 2 in different colored sweaters, although it seems once you have one sweater, you have them all. She came with the tagline, "World's Most Glamorous Teenager," and also had a swimsuit version called Year-Round Fun Tan. Oh, those aren't caterpillars on her face. Oh no, those are just her signature full eyebrows looking as if they were drawn in individually. Talk about detail, LJN. How do you follow up your glamorous teenager? With the original outrageous Boy of Rock, of course, from 1984. Surprise! The doll no one was asking for or thought they would ever see was here. Boy George, as himself, from the days of Culture Club. Not the ragdoll version, but the 12-inch Boy George as he portrayed himself to the public and what we knew him as. So although it may seem like a character, in reality, this is who George Allen O'Dowd was. I just don't think naming the doll that would help in sales. A year before LJN roared with Thundercats, they purred with this novelty. If there was any confusion of which toy aisle these dolls belonged at the time, this slightly unsettling-ass doll wasn't helping. His prototype was only 10 inches, but the artist is said not to have approved it until it was 12 inches. Boy George certainly had fans across the board, but the images on the front were definitely gender-bending to say the least, and that may have hurt moving merchandise. As startling as the face mold is, I can't say it doesn't look like him. The uncanny accuracy of the makeup-covered face and the color-by-numbers outfit is remarkable for this one. He would have fit right alongside the following year's Gem dolls, but as a misfit or hologram, you decide. Boy George was not LJN's only foray into music. Perhaps with low sales of Brooke, MJ would do better. I mean, who doesn't want a Michael Jackson of their own? But just try to avoid eye contact. He's like staring into your soul. There were 3 initial dolls in the series, wearing the American Music Award outfit, his Thriller costume, and even one for Beat It, but you could find other outfits too, like one for Billie Jean and even Human Nature. Relive your favorite music video memory with this highly articulate action doll, appropriate for the fantastic dance poses you could get MJ into, including the moonwalk. I suppose if this line had continued, you could have had the whole collection of Jackson's face through the years, but LJN may not have been able to keep up with the dozens of head molds that would require. Just like his predecessors, these dolls were not long for this world, but you can find these babies still in boxes in countless toy and comic shops around the world. We've seen it before. Matchbox stretches its legs from the pedals to diversify their portfolio of playthings into strange new territory. I mean, who can forget their popular line of ABBA dolls? Apparently everybody. This is not a drill. They were the real thing, and I've got to find out more about them. While Matchbox brought us the Fighting Furies and the sweet sounds of Scandinavian songsters in the 70s, the 80s brought us the Real Model Collection in 1989, with famous faces that fronted favorite fan magazines being immortalized in plastic to rival Barbie. Christy Brinkley was joined by Beverly Johnson and Cheryl Tiegs, whose head sculpt seems to have been made in the dark, or at least from memory, rather than the countless covers she adorned. The model's stats were included on the back of the box because that's not invasive at all. I'm not a model, but I'm not sure any of them would be caught dead in these dresses. It may be obvious that almost every single one of these were probably targeted at girls' toys at the time. That is not to say the whole thing wasn't fascinating. It was. But even if boys fancied them, they had to not only brave the pretty and pink toy aisle, but their mother who had the purchasing power. I have little to no recollection of seeing most of these when I went to the toy store during their initial run, but perhaps I just wasn't looking for them. Any of you guys, proud owners of these rare and unique playthings, don't be shy. If girls were the targets for most of these dolls up to this point, the 1990s would offer a couple of entries where the lines got blurred, and they could go, well, let's just say either way. Coining a new phrase that I'm not sure ever caught on, the fashion figure seemed to take fashion doll and action figure and allow it to be palatable to a new hipper 90s vibe. A vibe like New Kids on the Block. A series of dolls for each of the individual boy band members came out in 1990 by Hasbro, starting a boys in music trend. I am sure the majority of these dolls got into the hands of tween girls everywhere. This wasn't like the Blossom or the 90210 dolls, but each was their celebrity self in real life. They might be New Kids on the Block, but it was the same old thing, except for the exclusive cassette tape included. An original song? Nah, an exclusive interview with a member of the band. Let's listen in.
John, tell us, did you audition for the group?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it an audition though, because when I went there, I just really had to meet Maurice.
Riveting. MC Hammer pounded down the toy aisle next, and why not? He was a hit and Mattel knew it. What aisle did he appear in? He landed himself in both. MC Hammer fell into place at the start of the 90s, where pop music was the trailblazing new trend in dolls, and to make it all the more desirable, Mattel threw in an exclusive cassette single as a bonus, in that cardboard case we all remember too. Original songs and even a private message.
You can't touch. One hammer's got a boombox, you buy the batteries. The other's got a song tape, also separately.
You knew this was Vanilla Ice instantly, didn't you? This was the time where faces started to become a bit more photorealistic. Hammer and Vanilla Ice were instantly recognizable, and the head molds would continue to improve. The Ice doll hit the scene also in 1991 from THQ. Yeah, the same company releasing new Strawberry Shortcake dolls at the same time. For the first time though, it showed a photograph of a boy on the back of the box to help broaden the appeal. Like Hammer, Vanilla Ice is not a character but an identity, the stage name and moniker the world knew this celebrity as. It is Robert Van Winkle, but more marketable. Well, it looks like the guys ruled the front half of the 90s. Later, new pop stars premiered on toy shelves. Former Mouseketeers Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera would debut late in the decade, complete with boob speakers that play one of their hits when you press a button, like the whole song, out of their boobs. Today's Britney would approve. But hold on, we're heading way too far into a whole new generation's youth and completely out of my jurisdiction of the Gen Experience. That goes for the sports heroes that debuted the same time as our pop princesses and gave a lot of boys appeal. 96's Michael Jordan and 97's Dennis Rodman, Shaquille O'Neal, and Bobby Orr of hockey fame. The time of celebrity dolls as themselves has come and gone, kind of like our time here. But there was a time, as short as it was, where it was expected. That time was the Gen Experience. I didn't even have time to take on Kiss. Now that was a popular toy line. Do you remember other celebrity dolls that weren't sold as their TV or movie character? Which do you remember having? Even as today's technology has surpassed expectation, including 3D scans to put you on any action figure, there are still some misfires. Emma Watson knows what I'm talking about. I hope this made you click the like and perhaps considered supporting my channel by subscribing. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you found this little history lesson of doll doppelgangers fun, if not surprising. Look around the channel for more great shows from a generation that gave us the stuff that lasts. Until next time.